All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We have them. They are here, the ESL replays from IEM Katowice, and we are straight on into the quarterfinals. That's right, in the top left-hand corner of Pride of Alteris. He finished his group, flawlessly. No maps dropped. He is looking absolutely impeccable. And he's looking to try and see if he can finally claim that trophy that has been ever so eluding of his grasp. That's right. It's Serral. And in the bottom right, he's only currently probably considered by most to be the best player in the world at the moment, but you know, maybe if we look at how the group stages went, there may be some differing opinions on his performance at this event so far, but he's looking to turn that around in this best of 5 from Team NV. It is Maru. And oh boy, am I so happy that we have got this game to do. I am so very excited. It's going to be an absolute banger. I mean, the last few times that Maru and Serral have faced off, of course, online, not offline, have been some of the most incredible TVZs that we have seen ever. Just straight up, ever. And that's, you know, that was the Asus ROG, King of Battles Finals. Just some amazing matches, but those were a while ago. To be fair. Maru's form, of course, still does look very good, but what I was kind of alluding to when I was talking about his group stage performance is that a lot of people expected Maru to be able to, it was either him or Raynor were going to go undefeated. That was the expectation. It did end up being Raynor getting no series losses, but a few map losses. But Maru actually ended up going 3-2. He also dropped a series there to Zoun, who did perform very, very well. Didn't end up making it past... spoilers here, didn't end up making it past, though, the round of 12. Did get eliminated there in his first round match versus Hero Marine, who also has had an incredible tournament, and some amazing results from him. But it definitely hasn't looked the most convincing from Maru. And of course, well, as I say that, manages to snipe the first Zergling, which is always a nice little sign there of how you're doing, you know. It's being able to see these players play offline without the, you know, lag and, you know, ping differences, of course, going to always be an absolute pleasure. And Serral, I think Maru and Serral have kind of been two different stories, where Serral has looked completely unstoppable, exactly as we would expect him to look. He hasn't dropped a map yet in this tournament, and has just looked incredibly good. It kind of almost a return to form when he was dominating every single tournament that he would play in. And Maru, not so much. And I don't know why, but it seems to happen a lot with Maru. But I'm very excited. Of course, he did get the series win over Dream in a very close TVT. Played very well in that match. But we are going to need to see Maru kind of get back into that form that we saw him when he was playing online. We're going to need to see that from him and see if he can really step it up. And we're on to Pride of Alteris for game number 1. It did make it through the pick bans, which is a little bit surprising, but usually it's Pride of Alteris or Glittering Ashes that will make it through. You choose one or the other. That's kind of your poison when you're playing in TVZ. Both of these maps are very, very good for Zerg, just because of how wide they are, how large they are. Usually you'll see Zerg have a good time on this map, because you're not going to be struggling as much to really kind of read where is the Terran coming from, and you know, you can scout out plenty with your overlords, as we do see Serral doing. Of course, always on top of this scouting, just make sure that he knows exactly what you're doing. Serral was the player that would always make sure he knew exactly what was going on. You could not hide anything from him. He goes for that early overlord speed and uses it so efficiently in order to kind of deconstruct his opponent's attacks and builds and defend them without much trouble at all. We do have Maru poking out here with a Reaper and 4 Hellions, managing to get that snipe onto the Creep Tumor. Trying to push down one of the Queens. Shouldn't be able to get too much damage, though. As the Overlord does get pushed back. And as I said, Pride of Alteris, we will see how it goes. I am expecting, though, Serral to be a little bit favored on this map. Just his already defensive style is something that you see him so good at with. And then also factoring into that you have the gold base on this map that you have, I believe it is on Pride. Correct me if I'm wrong, it is 9 bases per side of the map, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it is 9 bases of the map. So it is an extremely large map, which you'll always just find that Zerg enjoy, because that means that your creep spread gets even more value, and you're really spreading the Terran thin as soon as they try and get past 3 bases. As these overlords just keeping a lot of vision on what is going on. Maru, none of his army movement is unknown to Serral, although we have an armory that was going up at the back of the main. So we will be having Hellbats pushing out with these Marines with Stim. A bit of a different push here from Maru, trying to see if he can get any damage done. But Serral, look at this, just already setting up a small group of Lings to try and harass, see what damage they can get. Are just going to poke around at that 3rd base. No workers there just yet, so they're not going to find too much value, but we'll just get damage onto the command center and kind of draw Maru's attention elsewhere. As here we go, the Hellbats morphing on in. The Queens already soaking up quite a lot of damage, and the Banelings are here. Ooh, the splits, I mean, not the best. A lot of the Hellbats go down, and that means that the Lings can now collapse on in. Maru loses so much there, and doesn't really get anything for it. I mean, cleans up the Lings at the 3rd, but, you know, a push like that you would expect Maru to do better with, where you have the time to split the Hellbats, you have the time to focus fire the Banelings. Neither of those things happen, and you know, now Maru is just extremely on the back foot. Going to be trying to clean up some of the creep here. Gets 3 of the tumors before he has to skedaddle on out of that position. And tanks are in production, 1-1 on the way. Will be faster than that of Serral, who of course has committed a lot to these early Banelings and Lings to help defend this pressure. But of course, when you have your opponent going for the armory, it's absolutely worthwhile to get those extra Banelings out. You know, your upgrades will be a little bit later, but that is completely fine. As long as you're defending the push, that upgrade difference shouldn't really matter too much. You'll get them in time for the next Terran push that comes out. As I love this. Baneling drops getting loaded on up for Serral. I mean, this is a move that was actually really prominent for a long time. A lot of people were doing Baneling drops, and it was mostly because of Serral. But it kind of fell out of popularity just a little bit, or a lot of people haven't been doing it as much because it's, of course, you are investing a lot. If it gets caught, a missile turret can just completely shut it down. Ooh, Maru, you gotta be careful. Does manage to scout out the army movement, and Serral not going in with those Banelings just yet. Now the Overlord is gonna move on in as he knows that Maru's attention is elsewhere. Oh, Maru isn't responding, but the drop doesn't come out. Serral! Ah, oh my god, that... I've never seen anything like this, but there we go. Finally, he's going to drop them out. 10 SCVs go down at the same time. Serral going to swing his... Oh, gets the kill on the CC. Swings a large group of Lings over, and now the Orbital Command could go under fire. If Serral just actually rolls his Banelings in there, that's a kill on the Orbital Command. Maru, what are you doing? You're microwing at the front, but you're losing so much. I feel like Maru, just his attention absolutely split and isn't focusing enough on either location right now. As the tank's still firing away, the medevac's holding this position for the vision, but Serral's just going to roll on through, and I just don't think there's any way that Maru holds this. Loses on both fronts. 22 workers go down. Both of the tanks fall. And Serral manages to defend the attack and also get damage across the map. I mean, that was such a good move from Serral. I feel like, you know, that's something where Maru, it felt like should have been more on top of it, had plenty of time to react and was just did not react to the Dropper Lord, didn't react to, I mean, had the push, of course, and the counterattack was extremely well done. And just, there was nothing Maru could really do to have units at home, you know. Again, Serral had his upgrades coming through. You know, Serral's just been lining everything up so well to defend these pushes, and you can't really commit in with a tank attack. That's not what you're going to be doing with tanks, as we do have another Dropper Lord coming on in, more Banelings, and there's just no reaction from the Terran. This is going to be even more damage. 9 SCVs already go down, 2 Banelings are saved. And now Serral is starting to explode in supply. Banelings trying to roll on to this 3rd. Will get cleaned up so those SCVs can be brought back. Multiple armies being moved on out. We have a small troop here on the left and right flanks as 3rd CC is so low. And again, the kill on that building 4th command center is what hurts so much, as none of those Marines somehow go down. They all survive. Maru managing to get them on out, but we have Groove Spines on the way. It's Lurkers that will eventually, I think, be the game plan here for Serral is the infestation pit for Hive, and +2/+2 for the Lings. And actually, yeah, it might just, for now, actually, it does look like it might just be the Ling Bane Hydralisk, which is a very old style. Usually you'll see the Lurker Den already down, so you can start to get out those Lurkers, but no, it's just Ling Bane Hydra. It's that just straight up ground pound. I'm going to absolutely roll over you with so many units that you can't defend. And I mean, I don't know if Maru will be able to. He manages to get all his Marines out once again. This drop cleaning up a few of the Queens, doing a very good job. Actually, that snipes quite a few. He does manage to still pick up a lot of the units. Maru doing very good with this multi-prong, but again, this is kind of just trying to make up for damage that he didn't get earlier as, oh, this whole drop is going to go down, and Medevac somehow manages to sneak its way on out. The Hydra's not chasing that down quite enough as another drop towards the gold base, but Serral's already there with the Ling Bane. It feels like right now, as Maru, you kind of got to cut your losses. You got to prepare for the attack now. Serral is getting towards maxed out. Look, they even burrowed a Ling on the planetary just to get vision of what's going on. Serral, man, has just units everywhere, knows exactly what, I mean, Maru's army is, knows his upgrades, knows his unit count, and now he's going to be preparing for this big attack, as that could be a big Baneling hit. Nice retargeting, gets a lot of Banelings. Lurker Den is on the way, 3-3, and tanks in production for Maru, but still he's only at 170 supply to the maxed out Zerg. Serral, I mean, has complete agency on this map. The creep spread is pretty insane already. We'll have to see if Maru can hold on. I mean, this is where Maru shines, is the defense, is turtling up, but I mean, he just doesn't have a lot. Wait, where are Maru's units? They're all over here on the right flank. He doesn't really have anything by that planetary fortress. I mean, there's a lot of Widow Mines here, but again, yeah, just one link can be split off, and they're just going to commit on into the planetary. There's nothing here. Maru, where are all of your units? They're trying to attack across the map, but you needed to defend that base. You don't have any money. You don't have an economy to work with. The gold goes down for Serral, but does that matter? There's a 1K bank for this Zerg. It's immediately rebuilt, and Maru loses the planetary. Sure, no units go down for Maru, but still, that fourth has just been denied so many times. Already, I mean, 2 kills on these command centers as, oh, Widowmine Drags are so good. Oh, Serral right now has just so much control on this map, is using up these Widowmine shots, is never moving his army out without checking for these burrowed units. Oh, Maru, did you step too far? So far is actually taking a very good trade. Oh, Serral trying to roll on in, but just Banelings on Marauders will be able to get a lot of SCV kills, though. The worker transfer. Maru loses 17 SCVs. He's down to 54 workers. And now Serral, even though that trade wasn't the best army-wise, just his economic position is absolutely insane. He's denied the fourth from landing over here on the left position. It's 82 workers to 56. Sure, the army is even, but there are lurkers on the way, and ghosts are not out yet for Maru. It just feels like Maru right now is being outpaced. Serral is playing just an incredible game. As we are approaching the 15-minute mark, ghosts are in production, but they're not here yet. And guess what? Lurkers are already on the map. These Widow Mines will get a little bit of value. 2 of the lurkers already go down. But Maru, I mean, he's not engaging his army, and you really do need to. He has quite a few tanks in position, but Ling's trying to do a run by at that fourth base. Maru's trying to fight this, but it's just Marauders against Lurkers. And sure, it's 3-3 bio, but you're just losing workers at your fourth, and I just don't know what is happening here to Maru, but Serral is absolutely picking him apart in every single way. Maru dropping down below 150 supply. He doesn't have a bank. He doesn't have an economy. I mean, usually, you know, Maru, even though he takes damage, he's able to macro back up. He's able to get his worker count healthy. But in this game, it's just been so much pressure from Serral. So much aggression. And Maru, it just feels like right now he is being completely, I mean, you don't say this often, but he's being completely outclassed in this game. It just feels like one more attack will do it here for Serral. The fourth has been denied so many times. The mining has been denied. And Serral's been splitting his army. He's been attacking. He's been harassing. I mean, sure, you have Widow Mines, but that's, I mean, A lot of the army is in this bio. There's no ghosts to really speak of, only 2 of them on the map. Lurkers here going to try and dive on in. This might be a bit ambitious here from Serral, but at the same time, he's going in on the other base. And look at this angle. There's not enough Widow Mines in the world to save those tanks, as they are all going to go down the bio, trying to now come on in to reinforce, but it's not going to matter. The gold base is going to go down again. And if not that, then the worker count, which is equally as important. As not the best unit trade there for Serral. You know, 5k more minerals lost, twice the gas. It's not the best, but it doesn't really matter, because right now Serral is working on a 6-base economy. I mean, it could absolutely take more hatcheries if he felt like it. 7 hatcheries currently available to him. But Maru has just been utterly beat back in this game, and it feels like it's only a matter of time before it ends up being GG. That's just even more damage here. Scan has to be used on the Banelings. Ghosts are going to come through, and Ghosts are out now. But, oh, Lings get into the natural. And these are just the moves that you can't allow to happen as Maru. These Lings should never get in. His bio should never be, forced to fight this, as the Lings will go down. But now that all of the units are out of position, here come the Banelings once again. And Maru, do you have enough? Well, there's no tanks to support this. There is nothing. The bio is trying to split, but it's not going to matter. There are so many Banelings from Serral, and everything is going to fall. GG. Serral takes game 1. All right, and welcome to game number 2 here on Blackburn, as in the bottom right-hand corner. I mean, a convincing game 1. There's not really much else to say about it. It was an absolutely beautiful game played by the Finnish phenom himself. It's Serral. And the bottom left from Team NV. Gonna need to play a little bit better than that in game number 1. It is. Wait for the zoom in, or we do it ourselves. It's Maru. You used to wait for a zoom in. That's not how we do it here. But yeah, that game 1, man. Whew, that was rough. And I mean, you don't usually say that. Again, Maru usually is the one who is applying pressure, who's the one who's defending and, getting all of these awesome and doing all these moves, and just Serral completely just map control, stopping all the aggression, making the right decisions. It felt like an amazing game from him. And now Maru's gonna have to try and bounce back onto Blackbird. We do already have the 2 racks opening, so we are gonna be seeing a little bit of shenanigans. This is, of course, meant for Double Reaper, but it's a bit safer. It's at home, so you're not, using this to be across the map. You're still remaining quite safe with this build. And Serral is just gonna be scattered around, and I mean, really, the hopeful idea here for Maru is that, hey, Serral sees that there's no barracks and completely overreacts. Is the idea, and that's the hope. Is that now Serral thinks, oh wait, what's going on here? Is this some sort of a, is this a proxy? Am I about to get proxy racks? Is it proxy Marines? What's going on? Why don't I see a barracks in your main? And we'll see if that's the case. So far, the Reaper's coming out. Serral should be able to see this first Reaper. Do you want to swap over to Serral's vision? Okay, he does see it. Serral did manage to see the Reaper there. So knows that this is in fact Reapers from home. The CC is being built on the low ground, so it's not a super hard committal from Maru. Serral should be able to get that read. Just know that, okay, maybe it's a hidden barracks in the main base of Maru, or maybe even two, and when he sees that second Reaper, should know, okay, it's going to be a second Rax. But this is nothing that, of course, means you have to react too crazily. More Lings will be on the way, and, of course, once your Queens are out, those will help defend as well, as Reaper dance is going on. One of those Lings gets quite low, but it's not enough. Maru to really try and push this position, as that is quite a few more Lings than you do need to defend this. That's actually 10 on the way from Serral, who might be thinking about trying to actually punish this build from Maru, as the third base has been denied by an engineering bay block. And so, of course, that means that, well, oh, the Queen is getting very low. The Queen goes down. A Ling is sniped, and Maru getting some more value, but there's 10 more Lings, and that's a Baneling nest. Serral Oh, he's about to try and punish Maru so hard for this build. He says, listen, you want to deny my third? Well, okay. I see how it is. He is going to absolutely try and flip the switch onto the Korean Terran as it's 3 Marines being produced at a time. Is Maru going to be ready for this? Speed is getting done, but that's a normal speed timing. The extra lings haven't been shown just yet. It's just these few that are trying to chase it down. Oh, Maru. Does he have any idea the lings chase it down? Oh, he might see. No, it kept out of vision. This is so good from Serral. Oh, that Reaper. Does it see it? I think it does. I think Maru just saw, yeah, pulls all of the SCVs back, pulls back the Marines, managed to see the additional lings being built. Now, what are you going to do? Well, there's banelings on the way. You're going to have to try and wall the front. A bunker isn't going to do it. Those bunkers won't be up in time. Maru, what's the plan? The CC is going to lift off. It's going to try and complete the wall. I don't know if that CC gets there in time. The banelings are already here. Maru, you need to build more buildings, and he just doesn't have them up as Serral is through the wall. The NG Bay block does not come through. SCVs are going to be pulled, but there's still 3 banelings up. The focus fire is decent, but there's just so many Zerglings here for Serral. And Maru getting absolutely punished for this aggressive opening. And that, I mean, that is game GG. And yeah, that last game, that was rough. That was rough. That was a game that, as Maru, you don't expect that build to come out from your opponent as a way to punish you. It was just a split-second decision from Serral that he wanted to go for that all-in. The third base got denied, and it just felt like a situation where, as Maru, you go for the NG Bay block. You have to be ready for that. That's it. That's something you have to keep in your head, and you don't move your barracks over to that wall. You do the 3 supply depot wall off, which just, I mean, of course, it's a good idea in theory, but could have floated the barracks over. And there's a lot of things, again, there's just a lot of stuff where it feels like, hey, Serral is playing absolutely impeccably. Like, absolutely incredibly out of his mind so far. And Maru is definitely playing, I would say, subpar. And a lot of that is to do with Serral is forcing mistakes out. You know, it seems uncharacteristic from Maru, where people are like, what? Why? How is Serral just dismantling like this? How is it looking so convincing for Serral? And it's because not only I think it's not the best play we've seen from Maru, but he's absolutely, these mistakes are being forced. Serral is playing such a good game. He's being absolutely everywhere. And this is the play that, again, usually Maru has shown weakness to. There was a period of time where Serral, when they did play, especially in the online cups, when Serral and Maru played, this wasn't the style that Serral played. You know, this wasn't the heavy Lingbane counterattacks, and, you know, just constant aggression and taking fights. That's something that's a lot easier to do when you are on even ping, when you're not having to worry about the latency. And so we're seeing now Serral in form, bringing back this style that he was so dominant with, and it's one that Maru was weak against in the past. It was one that Maru struggled with. When Serral had a winning record against Maru, and I think probably almost still does potentially have a winning record against Maru, it was with this style. And it was always up to Maru to try and kind of find an answer and to find, you know, a way to beat it. As this Ling, you know, it's definitely an idea, but it will end up being roasted to a crisp, and no scouting will happen for our Finnish players. We have pneumaticized Carapace on the way, so again, it is just this very opening that's very focused on that scouting, on getting information early. As Hellions on the way from Maru, will have the medevac joining, so can go for a bit of a Hellion lift into the main base if that is the build he wants to go for. We will see what the decision ends up being. Overlord making its way inside the base. Maru actually even going to load up the medevac because, oh, that's a fusion core. That's why Maru wants to stop any scouting from happening right now, because he is absolutely going to try and be a little bit sneaky. Get out that battlecruiser, and well, if we know Maru, that can mean mech. Maru has been known to be a little bit mechy in the past, as, I mean, Serral just being so annoying right now with these overlords trying to get the scouting information. He's going to move both the overlords in at once, because he knows that, hey, you can't defend both. You have all your Marines over here, and there we go. Sees the fusion core, knows exactly what's going on. Again, Serral, just so good with his scouting. It is absolutely insane. This overlord will go down as a result, and the second one should also fall. But it is a worthwhile trade for Serral. He now has complete information on the build from his opponent, on the opening, and what he needs to prepare for. As no supply block coming through, Hellions are going to be able to deny those 2 creep tumors, which is, of course, annoying for Serral as the battlecruiser is now in production. The 6 Marines and a medevac have made their way across the map. We'll see if they actually manage to get any damage done. It's actually 7. Queen is immediately going to get focused. Zergling's already in position, though, and Maru should just try and get on out. There we go. Doesn't take any losses and doesn't really get too much value. But it's a fast 3rd CC for the Terran, which, of course, is going to be very useful for trying to transition out of this, whether it be bio or mech. And again, Maru has gone mech in the past. That is a builder that he's shown a propensity for. That's the word I was looking for. And there we go, 2 factories going down. Maru gonna be meching it up on Hardwire. And to be fair, this is his favorite map to go mech on. We'll see how it works out as Spire is on the way for Serral. So, you know, again, showing, and this is what we've seen from a lot of Zergs on this map, on Hardwire especially, is that, you know, the Spire is the way to go. There's a lot of dead airspace. The bases are far enough away that the Spire can absolutely have value. As the battlecruiser going to be chipping away at these queens. Already the transfusion energy is used up, so that should be 1 queen going down. Second one does get pulled away. Maru not going to get too much more, finding a few more worker kills before he has to back on up and just wait for that teleport to come back online. Already managing to get, I mean, quite a bit of value this game. A queen, a few drones, some lings, and hasn't really lost anything himself. As Hellions trying to make their way into the 3rd base. Marines also pressuring the 4th as the Hellions get some nice shots off. And you can't really chase that down in... Oh! No, that was a kill. Oh, Serral. That is an uncharacteristic mistake. As the base goes down, no cancel on it, so that's 300 minerals just down the drain. More battlecruisers on the way, the mech upgrades coming through, and well, Maru has his 3rd base established. And already, I mean, this is a lot more successful than other openings that Maru has done. It feels just a whole lot better on this map for him as the BCs going to be teleporting on over. Oh, not sure, let's teleport back. Never mind. To get repaired on up. As we have it, Mutalisks on the way. 10 of them going to be out onto the map as we have a Hellbat push coming through here from Maru, just trying to get a bit more value with these Hellions before they do end up being fairly useless in this early game before he gets out a large number of them with a blue flame. Okay, gets a few ling kills and nothing much more. Serral able to push him back. But those 10 lings, or those 10 Mutalisks on the way now, the battlecruiser is going to spot them out, and 2 BCs do a fairly good job of fighting mutas. It is luckily a battle that Maru's not going to be too worried about just yet. As it's just working so far with these 2 battlecruisers. Mutalisks looking to make their way onto the main base. Is there a missile turret? Yes. Also a few Cyclones. As Infernal Pre-Igniter on the way. It's +1 air weapons for these mutas. Centrifugal hooks. Serral is starting to just get this macro engine rolling. 79 workers for him, but Maru undisturbed, sitting at a solid 72. And again, as I said, so far I've loved how this mech looks. So much more than the bio. It's felt a lot safer for Maru. He hasn't felt like he needs to push out on the map and get damage done. And the one thing that I will say about Maru is, while I am a bit critical of how his form for this tournament, is that his macro has looked absolutely impeccable still. I think Maru's macro is still incredibly strong when he's not disturbed. I think he is some of the best macro. I think he's the best macro Terran, period. And that hasn't changed. I just think a lot of the issues that I see is in the micro and in the decision making that we have been seeing from him. But these two battlecruisers are going to make their way across the map. The Spore Crawler has been relocated to try and help deal with this, as a 3rd BC is going to join, I believe, trying to see where that is across the map. But no, BC just get out there. That one's so low. 6 workers killed to get on out with both your battlecruisers, and it's 12 Spore Crawlers. 12 Swarm Hosts. Same starting letter, but that's about it. I don't know how I mixed those up on the way. So we're going to be seeing Swarm Hosts in the first time for what feels like forever. I have not seen this unit in such a long time, but it is the OG answer to mech. It is, how do you beat the most efficient units in the game? Well, free units, free stuff. Just keep throwing waves of free things at them, and eventually you will win that value game. As Maru now taking his 4th base, sitting at, I mean, an incredibly healthy economy. 86 workers. Has more than the Zerg, which, you know, you don't usually see. But as it is mech, Maru is absolutely able to do so. He knows that his units are just going to trade better than the bio. He can absolutely afford to do this as the... There we go. Locusts going to make their way on in, but Blue Flame Hellions are already here. Baneling's trying to roll on through. The Cyclones aren't being pulled back. Maru finally splits away at the last second. And just to mitigate a bit of the damage that gets done, the Mutalisks are still alive, and they're going to start to pick off a few of the Widow Mines. But now 3 Thors in production. They're going to have +2. And that is always a danger for the Zerg, because as soon as you're dealing with +2 Thors, that's 2 volleys of the AoE anti-air. And that is all you need to get rid of those Mutalisks. Sensor tower is going to be repaired on up. More Locusts making their way on in. And the friendly fire actually does end up killing the sensor tower, so that has to be rebuilt for Maru, who is trying to take his 5th base now. Matching the expansions of the Zerg fairly well, actually. As the 3 BCs, they make their way on over, and actually the Queens are here. This is such a heavy committal here from Serral. Blue Flame Hellions, or Hellbat's gonna clean up those Locusts so quickly, though. And you just really can't push in with the Swarm Hosts when you have an entrenched position like Maru does. As Baneling's making their way in towards the Planetary Fortress. There is a tank here, but it's not close enough that it can get decent kills on these Banelings. We'll be able to eliminate quite a few of them, but the base should go down. SCV's pulled away, and there we go. CC falls. 12 workers also go down at the same time, as the Mutalisks actually trying to fly their way on through. The Locusts get cleaned up at the 4th once again. And the BC's having to chase down units that are so much faster than them. 22 SCVs already going down, but it's honestly not even that much damage, because Maru was sitting at about 85 workers. Sorry, 88 workers, as that knocked him down to 72, or 73. But Smart Servos is now completed, so you have that morph available quicker for your Thors, your Hellbats, and of course your Vikings, which, you know, maybe we'll see some of those later in the game. But Serral's already getting ready for the late game to transition here. It's 12 minutes in, and you have your Neural Parasite on the way, which is, of course, your go-to answer versus mech. Neural Parasite does so much as the Baneling's trying to roll on through here, but the tank's getting a lot of value. The Thor soaking up a lot of damage. But 2 of them do end up going down. So far, these trades actually looking remarkably even. Serral has been doing so well to just, I mean, get rid of some of the tech units of the Terran without losing too much of his own. Sure, he's been committing a lot of, you know, a lot of Queens. Sure, he's been committing a lot of Banelings, but those, in comparison, are quite expendable, as a lot of Queens are going to go down here to the battlecruiser run by. One of the BCs getting quite low before it does TP on back, and that 4th base is under fire. More missile turrets being built here at the 5th base for Maru. That hatchery, is it going to go down? It feels like it is. I wish we'd get a shot of it, but the Locusts are going on in. The Hellbats, not close enough to stop some of the tanks from getting killed. And again, this is why you build the Swarm Hosts, because over time they will get value. Now, the issue is, eventually you'll have to trade them away. The Swarm Hosts have an incredibly long cooldown between their Locust Swarms. And in that cooldown, they are just dead supply. They are 3 supply each. It's incredibly supply intensive. So right now, you're looking at quite a bit that is caught up with, 45 supply caught up in these Swarm Hosts. And as soon as it gets later in the game, as soon as Serral has a late game transition, has, a late game option, if Maru is able to survive, you want to get out of these Swarm Hosts, as they are going to go down. They're going to try and get rid of the missile turrets and the sensor tower, as Corruptors go down to the Yamato Cannon. This 5 BC hit squad, just such a nuisance. I would love to see how many kills there are on each of those battlecruisers. But it's +3 ranged attacks on the way. Those, of course, will help the Locusts. They will help the Roach Ravager as well. And Lurkers, if you want to get into them, but Lurkers against mech are just not that good. Oh, Widow Mines! A lot of the Mutalisks going down there, as we are going to see Maru start to push out onto the map, but he's actually pushing into a Locust Swarm, and this is the most dangerous time to try and push out. The tank's trying to get value, but so much is getting cleaned up. It's Lings on top of Thors, and let me tell you, that fight does not go well for the big, beefy Terran mech units. The Mutalisks are cleaned up, but Maru just dips so drastically in supply. That push out, it feels like it was a bit premature, as the Thor is going to go down. BCs, oh, that's his big catch out the Swarmhosts. A massive catch here for Maru, as so many of them are going to fall. That's exactly what Maru needs right now, as the Corruptor's going to try and dive on top of these BCs. Do they have teleport? A few of them do have it available. Maru's going to have to TP them away. That BC, there we go. Manages to find its way on out. Do the rest have it available? Looks as though the answer is yes, not taking too much damage. They just get on out of dodge. As Ghosts are now on the way, I was going to mention it earlier, but you have the Ghost Academy finished up. You are going to have Ghost Mech, a Maru special here. Of course, wanting to add in just the utility of the Ghost. I mean, the supreme late game unit for Terran. This Nidus Worm is denied. Another one getting popped on up, of course. As Serral does want to start to use this Nidus Worm to help the movement of his Swarmhosts, as the BCs, they haven't been repaired. They have to get on out of the way of those Corrosive Biles, which do just whiff absolutely everything. Not quite in range of getting all those tanks, the Thors and the BCs. Serral has to pull on back. Maru just retreated very smartly there, lifting up the CC. Not wanting to commit to defending that position when he wasn't ready for it. But +3 flyer attacks on the way for these Corruptors and Mutalisks. They are going to be absolutely deadly. Actually, just Corruptors. Never mind, the Mutalisks have all been killed as a Ghost gets sniped there. BC's being brought over to deal with the Nidus Worm in the main, but then we have this Planetary under fire, and it should just go down. I don't think there's any question about that. Corrosive Biles gonna get the work done. Baneling's not being expended, just on the CC when you can avoid it. And Serral just getting into his upgrades. I mean, again, it's felt like a good game for Maru, but Serral has been doing such a good job of just making it go on, of trying to get value here and there. And, you know, well, sure, the mech is going to slowly start to trade better over time. Right now, Maru has been kept to 5 bases. Serral is sitting on 7 of his own. And Serral is getting into Infestors. He can start to look towards Broodlords if he wants. Of course, the Ghosts do already kind of, you know, they're the catch-all answer to that. And so you have to look towards a different answer. It's not going to be Broodlords. It's not going to be your Lurkers, as here we go. BCs get away. One of them is sniped, though. But 12 SCVs actually go down. I think there was a run by as, oh, the Corrosive Biles. Just getting so much value as the Ghost trying to move on forward, looking for those little pew-pew snipes, but unable to find them. 72 workers to 79. Maru continues to lose SCVs, but it doesn't really matter. His economy is just absolutely booming at this point in time. He's now working on his air attack upgrades. Enhanced Shockwave. Also on the way to deal with the Infestors. Another Nidus Worm being put on up. That should just be very quickly dealt with. Maru already on top of that. Still remember these beasts. I need to see how many kills these battlecruisers have. 19, 14, 28, 11. That these battlecruisers in this what has become kind of a stalemate of a game. Absolutely insane how much value they have gotten, as the Swarmhost is going to be sent across the map using the Nidus Worm. Battlecruisers respond in due time with their teleport to help clean up the Locusts. Maru not wanting to take too much damage here from these free units. As the Niduses get cleaned up, and this army from Maru is getting scarier and scarier. 14 Ghosts, and actually, Serral gonna look for a wraparound. I don't know if this is it, though. Maru, sure, his army isn't quite in position, but he is still very ready for this. The snipes go down. Oh, the Corruptors just fall from the sky. And sure, I mean, the Thors are going to be able to take down one of the BCs here with the Neural Parasite. EMP goes down. Fungal to stop the chase. Not the best trade there for Serral. And I mean, he hasn't gotten out of Roach Ravager, and it's hard to, because there's not really a better unit composition than the Roach Ravager Corruptor. Those are the units that you want to deal with the late game Terran army. And it's so hard to find something better. Broodlords get dealt with by the Ghosts and the Thors. You know, your Swarm Hosts, sure, you don't want them in the late game, but they're really your only way of diving on top of the tanks consistently and effectively. Has a nice kill there onto the sensor tower. Serral does lose that base on the right side of the map. Had evacuated it well beforehand. As Nidus into the main will just get dealt with. Only 3 BCs left of the original 5. Still, so much value is... Oh no, the Swarmosts! Oh, they all go down. That hurts. That is so much supply that Serral now needs to replenish. He's just going to pull the trigger across the map. Going to look for this bottom right corner base. Maru doesn't have any units down here. He's just going to have to give it up. There's no way that he holds on to it, as all of the SCVs are going to fall. 16, 17, even more. 19 in total end up being the casualties, but Maru is just pushing across the map. He says, listen, you take one of my bases, I'm going to try and take 2 of yours, and there's absolutely nothing here to stop him from doing that. As these are, I mean, the Serral's really last mining bases. He has the 4th base that he did take, but that's also running out, and the 5th has not been able to re-establish. The BCs still being so annoying, but they get picked off. All of the BCs are finally going to fall. Serral getting rid of that pesky thorn in his side as these drones just very sadly getting toasted. And Maru just holding this position as, oh, that hurts. Serral now dropping down to a lower work count than even Maru, 46 to 44. Maru has reestablished the bottom right. He's going to continue to mine from that base. The Ghosts are kept at home, of course. You don't want to risk losing them, and it's 13 Broodlords on the way for Serral. And this is going to be the last max out that he has. He knows that he needs to do something, and so he decides the answer is going to be the Broodlords. He's going to pull them on out. How many Ghosts are there? There's already 17, but there's only 1 Thor. If Serral is able to get on top of these Ghosts, if he's able to collapse onto them, you know, get an EMP even, a Neural Parasite EMP, then he could absolutely swing this game and still win it and get the sweep. He just needs that one move to try and win it for him. As Serral is going to commit there to the 4th base, or the 3rd base of Maru. Of course, not many minerals left here. Has been mostly mined out of gas, so I'm not really that worried about it, but still has so many tanks. So many tanks, currently sitting at 13. Oh, Serral. Oh, the EMP! Oh, that was gorgeous. And now the Ghosts are all out of energy. Serral, this might just be the move he needs. He's going to move the Broodlords forward. He knows that he has to go now. He is running out of money. He is running out of bases. And he wants to try and collapse onto Maru's army. And that's the last mining base that just got denied there. Serral needs to try and win the game here. This little counterattack is going to absolutely ruin his economy. So he's going to take out a base of Mars. The planetary will fall down. As the Thorn tanks continue to pressure more Thors on the way for Maru. Of course, going to be his answer. Alongside the Ghost to the Thors. And look at this! Maru realizes, hey, listen, you have Broodlords. I don't need these tanks. These tanks can just be used to fight. That's going to be where they'll find the most value. And he's absolutely right. These tanks, their value does not come right now in a straight-up fight. It comes in this harassment as they're going to be able to snipe down another base. The tank hit squad from Maru. And it's so hard for Serral to collapse and kill these without his Broodlords because all of his units are on the ground. And the tanks deal so well with them. As this one Hellion is looking to get a little bit more value. 17 workers have gone down. Serral's economy is gutted. He's trying to push down these tanks. But that is just not going to happen. He's going to lose so much for it. Oh, that Thor gets picked up just barely. And Maru, between all this, has been able to get energy back onto his Ghosts. He's been keeping them at home. He's been using these counterattacks to distract Serral and is now bringing over You know, all of those 17 ghosts almost back with full energy. Now with Thors to help bolster this defense. 148 army supply to 124. Serral, he wanted a much stronger army to fight this with, but he just doesn't have it available. Maru trying to get back into this series, trying to use the mech, but that's a great fungal growth. Now the Broodlord's trying to get even more value. Tanks are going to start to go down, but Infestors get sniped. Oh, the Infestors go down to the tanks. That's absolutely painful. Only one Infestor left right now for Serral. And this tank hit squad's still going. It's still going. 6 Thors, 17 ghosts. These Broodlords suddenly don't look altogether that scary. 19 workers have gone down. It's an absolute scrap back and forth, but Serral's losing hatcheries, and right now Maru, he has plenty of CCs to replenish. I mean, this is starting to look like it is the beginning of the end. Another hatchery is going to fall. The tanks and the Hellbats just do a lot of damage. They do a bit of damage. These 3 tanks as well should eventually get cleaned on up. The Ravagers and the Lings being brought on over. Ooh, but the Infestor saves itself. Oh, still gets sniped with the scan. Maru does not want to give any room for Serral to try and win one last fight that they are going to have to deal with and maneuver. As all these ghosts have full energy, Serral, he's going to look for it again. The Neural Parasite EMP, that is the one thing that can win him this game. Sure, there are still 10 Thors. Actually, I don't even know if this is going to win him the game. The 10 Thors! This is an anti-Broodlord army if I've ever seen one, as the snipes go down, and look at Serral's army supply fall. It does not matter if you have an Infestor. This army just kills Broodlords as the ghosts snipe away. The fungal growth stops a few of them, but more are still going to come through. GG! Maru's still in it. And I'm going to be honest. I feel like the general feeling that I got right now is if Maru ends up going bio, even on a map like Berlingrad, which, you know, is fairly good for Terran, I feel like Serral is just so good at shutting down absolutely everything that Maru will want to go for that it's not even going to be close. That is the feeling that I'm getting right now, and we'll see if that ends up being the case. And I mean, we did see Maru go mech in an earlier game where he did in his match against Raynor, did go mech on this map. I'm not going to spoil the result of it, but it did look quite good. And so, and we saw how good his mech was in the last game, so I really do feel like that is just a viable option for Maru. And even if you do want to try and switch up your playstyle, right now the bio isn't working. The bio didn't work in game 1, and you tried to be cheeky with the Reapers in game 2, and that got absolutely shut down. But the mech worked, and it felt like a situation where, even though Maru mishandled it in some places, you know, he went for that earlier push that got completely shut down, you know, he still managed to win the game through just sheer value and through his macro, which is where he has been looking good, which is where he has been still performing extremely well. And so I feel like, honestly, if you do it again, you might even get a better win in this game on Berlingrad. We will see if that is the case, though. Maru is going to poke around here with this Reaper. Immediately gets that Extractor morph out from the drone. Shouldn't be able to get too much more value other than that, however. As we are just going to see Serral take the other third base, decides, hey, listen, I don't want to deal with this. This is just annoying. And the other third base, of course, completely viable on Berlingrad. Doesn't finish the Extractor, cancels it at the last second, and then we'll get on out of there. It's an early third CC here for Maru, which makes me feel like this might be heading towards bio. You don't usually see fast third CC going into mech play just because you're already being greedy, and then being greedy and going for mech, it just doesn't really work out because your units are going to be weaker early, and you're not going to be able to exert as much map presence as you are with the bio. Starport is going to go down. Hellion production will begin as soon as Maru has those 200 minerals to start producing them. Ooh, almost gets the drone kill. He's just going to pop on out. And so far, a fairly tame start to this game compared to the absolute insanity that we've had for the past 20 minutes in that game number 3. Maru is just positioning, or Serral is just positioning a few lings around to keep an eye out. Sends one on in for a scout. Coincidentally, perfectly lines that up with the Hellion moving on out, but we'll scout out all the buildings, sees it even through that supply depot liftoff, and actually even gets into the main, so knows that it's a fast third CC. Serral, there's absolutely nothing in the world that Maru could do to try and threaten his position right now. As the creep tumor is denied, and it's a Liberator on the way after the Viking. Sorry for the pause there, as I did have to yawn. Not because the games are boring, but I forget to take breaths sometimes. Fun little fact about that. Can happen. Remember to take your breaths, ladies and gentlemen. But Serral did go in just to confirm that there isn't anything else going on, as we have the early stim, so it does appear as though this is going to be bio. No more mech stuff coming out here from Maru, and I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed, because again, I really liked how that mech looked in the last game, and I felt like it was a lot more convincing than anything he was going to pull out with his bio in game number 1 or 2. We'll see, though. If Maru can make this game go late, if he can get it to that late game scenario, that is where Maru shines. That is where he has looked the best, and it's just been a situation of Serral not letting him get there. 13 minutes into the game, 12 minutes in, he'll just constantly push, constantly get Maru behind, make sure that that Terran can't comfortably expand past 3 bases. And that's where you start to see the game spiral out of control. As the Liberator, go right by this Spore Crawler. As soon as that Serral had a good idea of what was going on, the immediate unburrow and reburrow to stop the movement, and well, again, Serral completely deflecting any of this early pressure. Again, can't help but feel like I would have liked to see, perhaps, the PC opening once again. Felt like Maru was a lot more solid with it, as that Liberator is going to go down. Doesn't even get a shot off on the Queen. More creep tumors going down, though, and Serral establishing his 4th base, trying to just get his economy into motion. Already sitting at a very, very healthy 73 workers at 6 minutes into this game. Centrifugal hooks on the way, and, well, no unit production, because as far as Serral can see, and he's absolutely right in this assumption, there is just nothing that Maru can do to threaten him. There is nothing on the docket here for Maru to push out, to attack, to really do anything that will pose a danger to Serral. This +1/+1 is on the way, combat shields, and we may eventually see a push out here with a few tanks, with some Marines, as there's that double drop that makes its way onto the right side of the map. Not a lot of Marines with it. I think that's actually less than can fit into the medevacs, but will be just enough to pressure the location, try and get some worker kills, as there we go, the stim on in. Towards the pickup, and Maru is going to go straight on into the main base now. Yes, to pick up, getting chased down. And altogether, not a lot of value coming through for Maru. Continuing to try and stop this creep spread, as Serral is kind of insane right now with the creep spread. Berlingrad is a small map, and so the fact that you have someone like Serral playing, it's a small map, and then his already insane creep spread ability, this could get out of hand so quickly for Maru if he just doesn't stop it. And, well, it doesn't feel like there's a push coming out from Maru. He has +1/+1. He has stim, combat shields. Where's the push? You know, where's the attack? Where's the pressure that Maru usually does? It feels like right now would be the perfect time to do it. There's not a lot of banelings. There's not a lot of lings. It feels like Maru is scared, though, right now to push out with his whole army. And instead, he's just getting up a second factory. He's getting up his armory. He's going to start looking towards 2-2. And he's just going to kind of deal or handle with these 2 small, drops of Marines on either side of the map, trying to deny creep. And I don't know, I feel like there's a better option right now for Maru, as Banelings to manage to clean up at least half of that medevac worth of Marines. More barracks coming down, though, for Maru. Not quite looking for that 4th base quite yet, as Queen's getting stimmed on. One of them, manages to survive with clutch transfuses, and Serral just continuing to macro up. And, well, as much as I was harping on Maru not making a push here, has not been bothered by it. Is working on 2-2, has tank production continuing. Would want to see that Ghost Academy added on soon, as the Lurker Den is already on the way here for Serral. We're just continuing to spread this creep so aggressively. Already almost half the map taken up. And Maru just not applying pressure, it feels like, where he needs to. 5 bases already for the Finnish Phenom, trying to take a 6th. Massive cleanup there on the right flank. Maru loses so many Marines, and that's going to give up so much map presence to Serral, who now absolutely has the ability to do whatever he wants on this left or this right flank of the map, where Maru is trying to take a 4th base. And that's just a big mistake from Maru that you really can't afford, as the creep spread is already getting past the middle of the map. And look at that, a big swell of units onto this right side. Serral is going to try and clean up this base that Maru is trying to establish, and he absolutely might be able to. The tanks are here, but that is not enough. There is no bio with this army, and all of the CCs are going to go down. Serral once again finding damage. That CC, oh, was that not a cancel? Oh, okay, it was canceled. Only the 2 command centers do end up falling. Maru just trying to clean up this attack, but he's actually really struggling to right now. It's 1-1 versus 1-1. Maru not having an upgrade advantage in this game, and so these Lings are so annoying to deal with. But both players macroing up. Vipers on the way. Ghosts already on the map for Maru. I mean, as much map pressure and presence he's given up, it still does feel like this is the game, even more so than game 1, where Maru does at least have some control. He does at least have some, handle on it. I just would love to see some, a SimCity set up around these bases. If Maru wants to turtle, he needs to turtle hard. And I mean, Maru's good at that, but he needs to commit to it right now if that is the way he wants to play it. These counterattacks are, of course, doing good at cleaning up creep. They're still getting good trades. With that 2-2 now done, had some good trade ability there for a while, but it is going to be evened up as Serral does finish up his melee attacks and Carapace upgrades. And look at that, Adaptive Talons on the way. Lurker upgrades are coming through. Maru trying to expand to a 5th. But where are his units? Because look at this, there's no sensor tower at the 4th. And that's where Serral wants to attack on in. There's 3 tanks here, but these 3 tanks alone aren't going to be enough. There are already Vipers here. They can just abduct the tanks away. That's absolutely what they're going to do. No, it's Blinding Clouds to try and force all this bio forward, and Maru just doesn't have enough here. Maru's supply is just falling so rapidly, and Serral is the one who is remaxing. Oh, these Banelings just chasing everything down. Maru just loses so much, and Serral finds the opening. Is now making his way into the natural. More ghosts falling down. The main is now open. The natural mineral line is open for Serral to try and find more damage. And it feels like with just that one move, it was so even. But Maru does not set up a SimCity. He does not have, his defense is in position. He doesn't have a sensor tower. And suddenly everything falls apart as this other 4th base, or this 5th base, is under scrutiny from Serral, who's remaxing with Banelings, with Hydralisks. And what does Maru have right now? It's nothing in comparison. It's 2 tanks, 5 ghosts, 8 marauders, 9 marines. There is just nothing to work with right now for Maru, who's working against a maxed out Serral. The Banelings are rolling on in. There is just not enough Terran in the world to stop Serral from absolutely decimating this game 4 and looking to take this series. The ghosts are gonna run away, but it is not enough. Maru is losing bases. Maru is losing hope in this series. And the 4th isn't even allowed to reestablish, as a burrowed Ling and the creep have reached all the way across the map. Serral, 6 bases, adding on a 7th. Creep spread absolutely everywhere. Maru does not have enough to hold on. One more wave is all it's going to take. There are no Widow Mines this time. There are no tanks. There is just not enough. It feels like Maru... it feels like he completely misread this game, and Serral handled it to perfection, finding the openings, finding the aggression, As he has maxed out once again, he's going to look for a backstab. The supply depot wall does not do anything. The ghosts are coming over, but your ghosts need to be with the main army, Maru, because here we go. Serral's coming on in. The bio is trying to fight as well as it can, but it doesn't have 3-3. The tanks are all dead as the Banelings crash through, and that is it. The last hope for Maru destroyed. GG. Serral is moving on.